Hi, this is Jesse Barkesy here, and I'm at this beautiful park in Wallingford. It's the end of February 2011, and I want to talk a little bit today about patterns that successful people have, and a little bit about trading, and a little bit about our own thoughts process. Again, I'm trying to keep that theme going a little longer. And my basic belief is that most of us are this serene, quiet being underneath the thoughts of frustration, thoughts of um, nervousness, of anger, of ideas like the universe is against us and so forth. And what I believe is that we're this being that's underneath all of that, that resides in the body right now, pretty much. That is immortal. I do believe it's immortal, and we're residing here for the moment. Was discussing with somebody on the internet the other day. They were quoting something from the Bible about the gate being narrow. And my feeling on the gate being narrow, and it's hard for people to go through that gate and you'll only be saved. My feeling on that is that this is the narrow gate, the body. The universe is so vast. And I feel like the spirit has chosen to go through the body to learn mortality, suffering, happiness, certain things that you couldn't learn if you were immortal. And this is the narrow gate. I mean, we've got 100 billion stars, 100 billion galaxies, 800 billion planets. And that's, of course, those numbers, who knows how accurate they are, but there's a lot of things out there. And we're in this body, which is a narrow passageway. We can only experience things, near to our body at this moment in time. This is the state that we're in. So they were discussing that, and you got to follow this principles, and I think that just being a human is that narrow gate. I believe that once we pass through this gate, we have learned what God, or what other people want to call it, Buddha, Jesus, what they want us to learn, and we're learning it now. What I want to go through also is that serene being that we are inside. There's a lot of things fed to us, and over time. And when you're a baby, you got to think about this. You're a baby, and say you're playing with a ball, or you're manipulating clay or something like that with your hands. Very peaceful and calm and serene usually. Then the baby gets hungry and cries, and so forth. But all in all, the baby is very serene in a natural state. And I think that's our natural state. Even animals, without language, looking to see if there's any deer behind me or anything. But if you see a deer or a horse in the wild, they're generally playing, eating, very serene. But they don't have any language like us. Humans have this language, and all of a sudden somebody will say something, and it really manipulates people's lives by someone saying something. And I feel like when you can see the thoughts that are circling and coming at you every single day, and you can say, wait a minute, this thought is stopping me from doing action, then you're really making progress. You'll have other people come into the fray, and they'll say, well, you didn't make this much money, so who are you to speak? This is for example. So who are you to speak, Jesse? You didn't make $1 million or $2 million. Why should you be speaking? Why should anybody listen to you? Well, that doesn't make any sense. It's a thought. It's somebody saying a thought to try to stop you from doing action. You don't know anything about this business, the restaurant business. Why would you open a restaurant? Meanwhile, the biggest restaurants in the world are owned or were first started by people who didn't know anything. So the ideas in your head to stop you from doing action, in my opinion, are what people need to work on. This guy ice fishing over there. Any idea that stops you when you want to do something, when you want to attempt something, I mean, as long as it's not a risk that's going to ruin your whole life, in my opinion, those thoughts need to be dealt with and eliminated. I hope there's not too much wind too. I feel some wind coming. That messed up the sound one time. So to get underneath those thoughts, to the serene being that you are, to the being of action, I think that what you need to do is write down the thoughts that are coming at you every day. I feel like this person has it better. I don't have enough money, resources. That, whatever the negative thought is. And start writing positive thoughts. This person started with nothing. There was a lady who started the potpourri business. I heard this story. I'm not sure her name or anything, but I heard this story, and it makes sense to me. It sounds right. That she was going into the woods collecting little bags of leaves and things that smelt nice, and she started to sell them. Next thing you know, years later, she has a $400 million business. Started with nothing. So what I suggest to you is to get it out of your head that you can't do something. And in fact, I think that's why a lot of these very crummy, nasty companies last so long. People get into a job or a position where they think that that's what they have to do. Oh my God, I've got to hang on to this job or I'm going to fail and die. And you might fail at 3 or 4 businesses, but to take the risk and to try something is the key. Okay, you can try something while you're working, while you have another job, and you can start on a small scale, or you can take a big risk. It's up to you. What I've done lately is I've traded for a lot of years. And people don't realize, just plain trading, you don't make money sometimes for months and months at a time. There's been like a year or 2 where I haven't made money. I've been living in a state of poverty as far as if you looked at my income. But then I come along and make a really, really good trade that makes up for 2 or 3 years, or you have a string of years that it builds upon each other, and that gets me by. Now, I wouldn't say I'm prosperous. I would say I get by and I do pretty well. Last year I wasn't doing well for a while. I mean, it was literally, I felt like the bottom of the barrel, and that's the way trading goes, but I kept eliminating my losses, cutting my losses, and trying the next trend, trying to get on the next stock. Wasn't working. Finally, lately this year, I made something, and thank goodness, because I was get nervous, And the other thing, I started another company called Mesa9.com. I'll put that on this video if I can put it on the YouTube video. I'll put the website. And what it's going to be is a new generation of, I guess what you call sort of social networking. I'm going to have a little bit more control, privacy, a little bit more control over your public and private posts, and hopefully I'll make it somewhat, or otherwise I'm going to lose this investment too in a time where I'm not working and just trading for a living. You see, people say, oh, you're so lucky you could trade. I wish I had a job like some people so I could do the job and trade on the side. But that's the way it is. Everybody thinks that everybody else has it better. And the thoughts, about being swayed by your thoughts, I look at someone like Warren Buffett, and he drives a modest car. He lives in the same house he lived in most of his life. A very quiet, low-key, nice person. And he was never swayed. He just kept investing and doing his thing no matter what anybody said. No matter if there was a recession, whatever it was. There were so many recessions in his investing lifetime. It didn't sway him. He didn't sway by the lure of buying a fancy car, a fancy boat, or this or that. I mean, that's some people's gig and they want to do that. That's fine. But you can't be swayed that way. If you want to have a business that's going to last you 50 years, or you want to enjoy this summer with this fancy car, fancy boat, you got to make a decision what you want to do. If you want to be a great writer or a great, some kind of business owner, speaker, you have to practice that summer and maybe forego. Maybe you have to rent a boat a few weeks or go on your friends or something instead of getting your own. But there are sacrifices that you should exchange in and out. And then in some cases you can do both. Some people can get a used car that's kind of a nice car, but save $10,000 so they have that powder, that money to do with their business. And this is the thought, to be serene underneath, to not be swayed because somebody got something. Oh my God, I got to get it. Because somebody goes to Disney World. Oh my God, I got to take my kids to Disney World and spend $10,000. This is the kind of thing that I think annoys and sways and starts the wave of discontent. And then 10 years go by. This one kid practices baseball or practices karate or practices football. Well, the other parents, they took the kid to Disney World, they took and then they're wondering why their kid is no good at any sports because these other parents, practice this. And then there's some people who could do some of both. But in any case, what I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to make is that we're in this finite little gate, this body, and we can only do so many things. And you've got to make a choice, some choices of the things you want to focus on, and see the buildup over 5 and 10 years of what will happen. And just some random thoughts today. I hope that helps. And the sun's going down here, so I'm going to stop this video and hope it came out fairly well and the wind didn't bother it too much. Thank you and have a great day.